Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Native Echo Podcast, where we make English simple and enjoyable. I'm Harper. Hello to all of our wonderful listeners wherever you are in the world right now. So today it is just me. No Julian, he is traveling this week, and honestly, I was a little nervous about doing this alone. I kept thinking, what if there is an awkward silence and nobody is here to fill it? And then I remembered. There is no awkward silence in a podcast. I control the microphone, so here we are. But before we get into today's topic, I want to tell you something that happened to me a few weeks ago. Something a little embarrassing, but also very useful for today's lesson. I was late to meet a friend for coffee. Not a little late, 45 minutes late. And when I finally arrived, out of breath, coffee already cold, I sat down and said this. I said, "Sorry, but the traffic was really bad and my alarm didn't go off properly and I had to find parking and you know how it is." And my friend looked at me and said, "Okay, just okay." One word, very flat, very quiet. And I sat there thinking, did I actually apologize? Or did I just explain myself for 30 seconds and put a sorry at the beginning to make it sound like an apology? Because here is the truth. I did not apologize. I defended myself. I listed reasons. I made excuses. And I put the word sorry in front of all of it like a little decoration. A real apology is something completely different. And that is what we are talking about today. How to apologize in English. Not just the words, but how to do it in a way that actually sounds genuine, in a way that repairs something instead of making it worse. This is one of those topics that nobody really teaches you in a language class. You learn "I'm sorry" on day one. You learn it next to hello and thank you, but nobody tells you what comes after "I'm sorry." Nobody tells you what makes an apology land well or fall completely flat. So let's go through it together. And if you have ever given a bad apology or received one, stay with me. This one is for you. First, let me ask you something. What is an apology actually for? This sounds like a strange question, but think about it for a second. When you apologize to someone, what are you trying to do? Most people think an apology is about saying you did something wrong. And yes, that is part of it. But the deeper purpose of an apology is to acknowledge how the other person felt. To say, I see that what I did had an effect on you. I understand that you were hurt or inconvenienced or disrespected, and I want to take responsibility for that. That is very different from just saying sorry. Sorry can mean 100 different things. Sorry can mean I feel guilty. Sorry can mean please stop being angry at me. Sorry can mean I am saying this word so we can move on. Sorry can even be sarcastic sometimes. But a real apology, a genuine one, does something more. It shows that you understand. It shows that you care. And it shows that you are not just trying to make yourself feel better. So, how do we build a real apology in English? Let me break it down into parts. And I want to go through each part with real examples because hearing them in context is much more useful than just reading a list. The first part is the acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. This is a word worth knowing. When you acknowledge something, you recognize it. You say, yes, this happened. You do not minimize it. You do not explain it away. You just say it clearly. In an apology, the acknowledgement sounds like this. I know I was late today. I know I said something that hurt you. I know I forgot to send that email. I know I raised my voice in that conversation. Short, clear, no excuses yet. This part is harder than it sounds because our instinct is to immediately explain ourselves. We say, I know I was late, but the traffic was terrible. And that but cancels the acknowledgement. The moment you say but, the person stops hearing the apology and starts waiting for the excuse. So the first skill is to pause after the acknowledgement. Just let it sit there for a moment. I know I was late today. Full stop. Not but, not and, just stop. The second part is taking responsibility. Taking responsibility means saying directly that you are the reason this happened. Not the traffic, not your alarm, not the circumstances. You. This sounds like, that was my fault. I should have left earlier. I should have checked in with you sooner. I should have handled that better. I was wrong to do that. I was wrong to do that. That is a powerful sentence. It is very direct in English. Some learners feel it is too strong or too harsh, but actually, it shows maturity and confidence. It shows you are not hiding behind soft language. You can also say something like, I take full responsibility for that, or there is no excuse for what I did. Now, that last one, there is no excuse for what I did, is usually saved for more serious situations. You would not say it about being 45 minutes late for coffee. But for something bigger, like breaking someone's trust or making a serious mistake at work, that phrase carries real weight. The third part is the expression of regret. Regret. When you feel regret, you wish something had happened differently. You feel bad about it. The most common way to express regret in English is I'm sorry. But I'm sorry works best when it comes after the acknowledgement and the responsibility, not before, not as an opening shield. Compare these two. Version 1. I'm sorry, but I was really stressed that day and I didn't mean to snap at you. Version 2. I know I raised my voice at you yesterday. That was not okay, and it was completely my fault. I'm really sorry I spoke to you like that. Both start with the same feeling, but version 2 actually lands. Version 1 just sounds defensive. Other ways to express regret in English. I feel terrible about this. I really regret saying that. I wish I had handled that differently. I'm truly sorry for what happened. I feel awful about how I acted. Notice the word truly and the word really in some of those. They are intensifiers. They make the apology feel stronger and more sincere. Without them, I'm sorry can sometimes sound flat, especially in writing or in formal situations. I'm sorry sounds okay in person. I'm truly sorry sounds more considered. I am sincerely sorry is the most formal version. You might use that in a written apology, like an email to a colleague or a message to someone you have seriously upset. The fourth part is the promise or the plan. This is the part that turns an apology from just words into something with meaning. It is the part where you say what you will do differently. This sounds like, I will make sure this doesn't happen again. Next time, I will communicate better. I'm going to be more careful about this going forward. I'd like to make it up to you. Make it up to you. That is a very natural English phrase. When you make something up to someone, you do something positive to compensate for the negative thing you did. For example, I know I missed your birthday dinner. Can I make it up to you? Maybe we can have dinner this weekend, just the two of us. Make it up to you does not always mean giving someone a gift or spending money. Sometimes it just means giving someone your time and attention. It means showing them they matter. Now, listeners, I want to ask you something, and I really want you to think about this one. Have you ever received an apology that did not feel real? Maybe someone said the right words, but something felt off? Think about what was missing. Was it the acknowledgement? Was it the responsibility? Was it the regret? Or did they say sorry but then immediately start explaining themselves? Write in the comments about a time someone apologized to you and what made it feel real or not real. You do not have to use names. Just describe the situation. Even one sentence is great English practice. Okay, now I want to talk about something very specific, non-apologies. These are phrases that sound like apologies, but are actually not. They are extremely common, and once you learn to recognize them, you will hear them everywhere. Non-apology number 1. I'm sorry you feel that way. This sounds polite. It has the word sorry in it, but it is not an apology. It is the opposite of an apology. When you say, I'm sorry you feel that way, you are not taking any responsibility. You are basically saying, the problem is your feelings, not my actions. I did nothing wrong. You are just feeling something, and I'm sorry about that. If someone says this to you, it means they have not really heard you. And if you catch yourself saying it, it is worth stopping and asking yourself, am I actually apologizing or am I just trying to end an uncomfortable conversation? Non apology number two. I'm sorry if I offended you. Again, sounds nice on the surface, but the word if is doing a lot of work here. I'm sorry if I offended you means I'm not sure I actually did anything wrong. If you happen to be offended, I guess I'm sorry about that. But maybe you should not be offended. Compare that to I'm sorry for what I said. That was unkind and I should not have said it. The second one is a real apology. The first one is just covering yourself. Non apology number three. I already said sorry. This one is interesting because it is not even pretending to be an apology. It is more of a statement, like the apology was given, the transaction is complete, why are we still talking about this? The problem is that saying sorry once does not automatically fix things. Sometimes people need time. Sometimes one apology is not enough for a big mistake. And saying, I already said sorry, shuts down the conversation instead of opening it. A better version might be, I know I already apologized, and I want to make sure you know I genuinely mean it. Is there anything else I can do? That shows patience. That shows you understand the other person's feelings are not something you can just switch off. Non apology number four. Sorry, but you also. You know this one. Sorry I was late, but you were late last week. Sorry I forgot, but you never remind me. Sorry I said that, but you started it. As soon as you say, but you also, you cancel your apology completely. An apology is not a negotiation. You are not comparing scores. You are saying, I was wrong, and I am taking responsibility for that. If you also have a grievance, that is a separate conversation, and it might be a very valid conversation to have, but mixing it into an apology usually just makes both people feel worse. Now let's talk about different situations, because the level of formality in an apology changes a lot depending on who you are talking to and what happened. With close friends, apologies can be shorter and more casual. If you accidentally cancel plans last minute, you might just say, Hey, I'm really sorry about yesterday. That wasn't cool of me. Can we reschedule? Not cool is a casual phrase. It means that was not the right thing to do. It is softer than saying I was wrong, but among friends, it sounds natural and genuine. With family, apologies can sometimes be harder, actually, because the relationship is so close and the emotions are bigger. But the structure is the same: acknowledge what happened, take responsibility, express regret, offer something forward. With colleagues at work, formality matters more. If you make a mistake on a project or miss a deadline, a good professional apology sounds like this: I want to apologize for submitting the report late. I understand that caused problems for the team, and I take full responsibility for the delay. I am already working to make sure this doesn't happen again. If there is anything I can do to help resolve the situation, please let me know. Notice a few things about that. There is no excuse, there is no but, there is a clear statement of responsibility, and there is an offer to help going forward. That is a clean, professional apology. In a professional setting, you might also hear the phrase, I owe you an apology. This is a slightly more formal way to start. It means you recognize you made a mistake before you even explain what it is. It shows awareness. It shows you have thought about it. For written apologies, like emails or messages, you can start with, I want to reach out to apologize, or I've been meaning to apologize, and I want to do that now. Reach out means to contact someone. It implies you made an effort to connect. It is a warm phrase. Now, let me give you some vocabulary you can use directly in apologies. I will give you each phrase with a short explanation of when it works best. I owe you an apology. Use this when you want to acknowledge up front that you need to apologize. It shows self-awareness. I take full responsibility. Use this in professional settings or for serious mistakes. It is direct and strong. That was not fair to you. Use this when your action affected someone's feelings or time or trust. It shows empathy. Empathy means you understand how someone else feels from their perspective. I should have known better. Use this when the mistake was something you could have predicted. It shows maturity. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I understand that I did. This is interesting because it has a but it is a productive but. You are not using it to make an excuse. You are using it to separate your intention from the impact. This matters because sometimes we hurt people without meaning to. And acknowledging that gap, I didn't mean to, but it still happened, is honest and considerate. I'm working on it. This is a quieter phrase, used when someone has mentioned something about your behavior or habits. It is not a big, dramatic apology. It is just a small acknowledgement that you heard them and you are making an effort to change. Let me now talk about something a lot of people forget: how to respond when someone apologizes to you, because receiving an apology is its own skill. And in English, there are a lot of different ways to respond, depending on how you feel. If you genuinely accept the apology, you can say, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you for apologizing. That means a lot. I hear you. We are okay. That last one, we are okay, is short and warm. It closes the tension without making it into a big emotional moment. Among friends, this is very natural. If you need more time, you can say, I appreciate the apology. I just need a little time to process this. Or, thank you for saying that. Can we talk more about it later? Process is a useful word here. To process something means to think about it and work through your feelings about it. It is okay to say you need time to process. It is honest, and most people will respect it. If the apology did not feel genuine, or if it came too late, or if you are still hurt, you do not have to pretend everything is fine. You can say, I hear what you're saying. I'm not ready to move on from this yet. Or simply, thank you for saying something. Notice that last one does not say, I accept your apology. It just acknowledges that the other person spoke. It is a way of being polite without pretending you feel something you don't. One thing to avoid is saying it's fine when it isn't. It is very common in English, especially in British English, to say it's fine, no worries, don't worry about it, as automatic responses. These are very natural and very friendly. But if something is actually not fine, those phrases can make you feel invisible. You can be kind and still be honest. Thank you for apologizing. I know you didn't mean to. It still affected me, but I appreciate you saying something. That is honest and it is kind at the same time. Now let's talk about apologies in one specific situation that comes up a lot for language learners: apologizing for your English. A lot of learners say things like, sorry, my English is not very good, or excuse me, I speak English a little badly. I understand why people say this. It comes from a place of wanting to be honest, of not wanting to seem like you are claiming more than you have. But here is the thing: apologizing for your English before you even start speaking puts you in a weak position. It makes the other person feel like they need to be patient with you before they have even heard you speak. Instead, you can say, please let me know if I'm not clear. Or, feel free to ask me to repeat anything. Or simply start speaking and let your English speak for itself. You are here, listening to this podcast, learning every day. That is not something to apologize for. That is something to be proud of. Now, let me bring it back to my story from the beginning. Me, 45 minutes late, arriving with excuses ready like a little prepared speech. After that conversation, I thought about it, and later that day, I sent my friend a message. And this time, I did it properly. I said, I want to apologize again for this morning. Not for the traffic, that was just bad luck, but I should have left earlier, and I should have sent you a message the moment I knew I was going to be late. You were waiting for 45 minutes, and that was not fair to you. I feel really bad about it. Can I buy you coffee this weekend and actually be on time? She replied with a laughing emoji and said yes. That is what a real apology does. It does not erase what happened. It does not magically make the other person feel great immediately. but it opens a door. It says, I see you, I see what happened, and I want to do better. Okay, let us do our word tour for today. These are the key words and phrases from this episode. Acknowledge, to recognize that something happened. When you acknowledge a mistake, you say, yes, it happened, clearly and without hiding. Genuine, real and sincere, not performed, not automatic. A genuine apology comes from actually understanding what went wrong. Take responsibility, to say you were the cause of something, not the traffic, not the circumstances, you. Regret, the feeling of wishing something had happened differently. You can also use this as a verb. I regret saying that. Non apology, a phrase that sounds like an apology but does not take any real responsibility. I'm sorry you feel that way is a non apology. Make it up to you, to do something positive to compensate for something you did wrong. I want to make it up to you. Empathy, understanding another person's feelings from their perspective. A good apology requires empathy. Process, to think through and work through your feelings about something. I need some time to process this. Intensifier, a word that makes another word stronger. Truly, really, sincerely. These are intensifiers. I'm truly sorry is stronger than I'm sorry. Genuine. We already had this one, but it is worth repeating because it is the heart of everything we talked about today. You can learn all the phrases in the world, but if they do not come from a genuine place, people will feel it. Okay, before I go, one more thing. An apology challenge for this week. Think of someone in your life. It can be a close friend, a family member, a colleague, someone you have been meaning to apologize to but haven't yet. Not because you did something terrible, just something small you have been carrying around. A time you were short with someone, a plan you canceled, something you forgot. Write out a proper apology. Use the structure we talked about. Acknowledge, take responsibility, express regret, offer something forward. Write it out in English first, even if you deliver it in another language, just to practice. And if you feel brave enough, share what you wrote in the comments. You do not need to name the person, just share the structure. Let us practice together. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Julian will be back next episode, and honestly, I missed him today, but this was a good challenge for me too. Talking alone is different. You have to carry the whole conversation yourself, and that takes a certain kind of energy. But you did it with me, and that means a lot. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Native Echo Podcast and give us a like. It really does help us reach more learners like you. Share this with a friend who is learning English, especially someone who sometimes says, I'm sorry, but in a way that never quite lands. Keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, a genuine apology is not a sign of weakness. It is one of the most courageous things you can say in any language. I will see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye.